Chapter 248, was indeed worthy of being the skull that the young master had fancied Yunchuzi and the others were fooled by Yunchujio. As expected, they took 2 defunct spirit-gathering pills on time every day. In less than 10 days, 6 people actually broke through and advanced. Little Gio, these 10 days of cultivation are comparable to a year of cultivation. This must be the effect of those defunct pills. Are you sure these are really defunct pills? The effect is too strong. Little Gio, logically speaking, the spirit-gathering pills shouldn't have such a great effect. Are these really useless pills? That's right, Little Gio. You're not fooling us, right? Yunchujio said with a smile, that's because your cultivation has just reached a bottleneck. These pills are just icing on the cake. Of course I'm not fooling you. If I stole them, how could Elder Qi not find out about it even after such a long time? Yunchuzi and the others thought about it. If Yunchujio really stole them, it would have been exposed by then. In order to prevent you from advancing too quickly and causing your foundation to be unstable, from today onward, you will take 1 pill instead of 2. Yunchujio did not expect that this super-grade spirit-gathering pill was so abnormal. If you advanced too quickly, it would inevitably attract the attention of others, so it was better to keep a low profile. Yunchuzi and the others were now following Yunchujio's lead, so they naturally did not have any objections. Time flew by quickly. In the blink of an eye, 2 months had passed. There was only half a month left before the new disciple test. During these 2 months, not only did Di Biming not visit, he did not even send a message through the voice transmission talisman. Although Yunchujio would occasionally feel frustrated, she quickly put it aside and did not take the initiative to use a voice transmission talisman to contact Di Biming. On one evening, Yunchujio had just returned from the spirit herb garden to her dormitory when Yunchu and the others arrived with smiles on their faces. Yunchujio asked with some puzzlement, "Fifth sister, what is it that makes you so happy? Could it be that you guys have advanced again?" Yunchu shook her head. "Silly girl, have you forgotten what day it is today?" "What day is it?" Yunchujio was so dumb that she could not react in time. "Today is the 9th day of the 7th month. It's your 15th birthday. Didn't you say that there was something called a birthday cake? We made one according to your description. Do you like it?" Yunchu took a birthday cake out from her storage bag and placed it on the stone table. When Yunchujio saw the so-called birthday cake, she could not help but laugh out loud. "How's this a birthday cake? It's clearly just a few thin candles placed on the big fat cake. Happy birthday, Little Gio. Little Gio, I wish you become more and more beautiful. Little Gio, I wish you happiness every day." Yunchujio looked at the funny birthday cake and listened to everyone's blessings, but her eyes slowly turned red. Whether it was in her past life or this life, this was her first birthday. It felt good to have someone remember and care about her. For the warmth she was receiving, she had to protect the Yun family and the hard-won affection. Yunchuzi and the others were well prepared. Apart from the food, there were also a few pots of spiritual wine. The group made a fuss for a while. It was already very late, so Yunchuzi and the others left. After Yunchujio sent Yunchuzi and the others away, she sat beside the stone table and began to drink by herself. The 2 foodies, Little Black and the Silver Dragon, naturally would not let go of such an opportunity. They also began to drink. The 3 lords' pets drank happily. Yunchujio's little face was red from drinking. With a hint of drunkenness, she chanted, "A pot of wine in the flower room, drinking alone without a blind date, raising a cup to look at the bright moon, and facing the shadow into 3 people. Oh, this little girl even knows how to recite poetry. As expected of the skull that the young master has taken a fancy to." A devilish voice came from midair. Chapter 249. Shui Wuji. Yunchujio looked up with her drunken eyes and saw 2 people descending from the sky. The person who spoke was the red-clothed pervert who had stolen the fruit of the witch hazel grass previously. If Yunchujio was not drunk, she definitely would have ran away and shouted for help at the same time. However, at that moment, she was already about 70% drunk and was extraordinarily bold. Yunchujio glanced at the red-clothed man. "So it's you, the medicine thief. Why didn't you go to the spirit herb garden to steal medicine? Why did you come to my place?" The red-clothed man looked at Yun Chujio with interest. Little girl, you took my aging pill last time. Why aren't you dead yet? You're the one who's going to die. I haven't lived long enough. If you don't know how to speak, then get lost. Yun Chujio downed a cup of spirit wine and said fiercely. The man in red did not get angry. Instead, he laughed. Interesting. Interesting. The last time someone spoke to me like this, how did I treat him? Hua, tell this little girl. The corner of the man in black's eyes twitched violently. The name Hua was the biggest stain in his life. Young master ordered someone to cut him dozens of times, spread honey all over his wounds, and then put him in the cave of the stone-eating ants? Yun Chujio nodded and said, First, Hua isn't a bad name at all. Your taste is very much in line with mine. Second, you're fucking wasteful. Wouldn't it be better to use the honey to eat? There are many ways to torture people, but you've actually wasted spiritual honey on this. What an idiot. The black-clothed man thought that this black girl must be tired of living. She had actually angered the young master several times. Previously, she was lucky enough to escape, but this time, she was dead for sure. The black-clothed man never expected that the red-clothed man would just sit on the stone bench. He took out a wine cup from his storage ring. Little girl, pour it. As the saying goes, it's hard to find a soulmate. You're the first person to praise my aesthetic standards. Yun Chujio was not pretentious. She filled the red-robed man's wine glass to the brim, and then said, This name is just a code name. Naturally, it should be easy to remember. Just like my name, Yun Chujio. How easy it is to remember. One look and you can tell that my name is Chujio. Oh right, red-robed pervert, what's your name? Red-robed pervert? The black-robed man scared that his knees almost buckled under him. Calling him the medicine thief was already bad enough, but now he actually called their young master a red-clothed pervert. This little girl was really seeking death by being cheeky. The black-clothed man felt that the young master was definitely going to make a move against her. Who would have thought that the red-clothed man would just smile devilishly and drink the spiritual wine in the glass in one gulp? Then he slowly said, Shue Wuji. Shue Wuji? Ha, Wuji? Doesn't Wuji mean black-bone chicken? Damn, I'm dying of laughter. Your name is so funny. Yun Chujio laughed so hard that she almost fell off the stone bench. Is it very funny? A cold light flashed in Shue Wuji's eyes. He clenched his fingers tightly and there was a faint cracking sound. Obviously, he was extremely angry. Of course it's funny. You're actually a chicken. And a black chicken at that. Ha. Yun Chujio was already 80% drunk at that time and did not notice the killing intent in Shue Wuji's eyes. The man in red looked at Yun Chujio and seemed to have thought of something. A cold smile appeared on the corner of his mouth, but he did not make a move. Instead, he smiled and said, The name is just a code name. There's nothing wrong with black chicken. If you like it, you can just call me that. Chapter 250, Brother Wuji the black-clothed man, Hua, felt that his young master must have taken the wrong medicine. Usually, if someone had the slightest intention of disobeying him, the punishment would be severe. In the worst-case scenario, it would be death. However, the black girl had repeatedly insulted and provoked him that day, but the young master did not kill her, and even allowed her to call him a bloody chicken. If he had not taken the wrong medicine, then he must have gone mad. Yun Chujio listened to Shue Wuji's words and sized him up a few times. You have a good temper. If only you weren't out for human skulls, then that would be better. Shadow Agent Hua was almost angered to tears by Yun Chujio's words. Our young master has a good temper? Don't you feel guilty saying that? In the Tianyuan continent, who did not know that our young master was famous for being temperamental and reckless? Shue Wuji raised the cup in his hand and moved his head closer to Yun Chujio. He said with a bit of charm, Little beauty, it's okay if you don't want to give up your skull. How about we make friends? Shadow Agent Hua was almost scared to the ground. Young master, did you forget to bring your brain when you went out today? Make friends? Who would dare to make friends with you? With your temper showing at the slightest disagreement, even if you had 100 lives, it wouldn't be enough for you to kill, okay? Yun Chujio looked at Xue Wuji's slender phoenix eyes and giggled foolishly. You're really quite good-looking. However, I, Yun Chujio, am not easy to befriend. You have to provide me with spirit stones, buy me delicious food, and even give me spirit tools to play with when you're free. Can you bear to do all that? The corner of Xue Wuji's eyes twitched a few times. Then, he sat up straight as if nothing had happened. How difficult is that? As long as it's something that can be done with money, it's not a problem for me. However, I came out in a hurry this time and didn't bring many spirit stones with me. I'll give it to you next time. Shadow Agent Hua Hua secretly pursed his lips. Young master, that's enough. Everyone knows you're famous for being stingy. You were generous with treating yourself, but when it came to others, you're stingy. Yun Chujio slammed the table. Are you fooling around? If you're not bringing the precious items with you, are you leaving them for others to steal? If you don't take out 10,000 low-grade spirit stones today, get lost from my sights. Xue Wuji narrowed his eyes and took a deep breath. He clenched his fist and then loosened it. It was not easy for him to suppress the thought of slapping Yun Chujio. Then, he actually poured out a pile of shiny spirit stones from his storage ring. Yun Chujio saw the spirit stones and her attitude immediately changed. Red-clothed, Brother Wuji. As the old saying goes, it's always a pleasure to have friends coming from afar. Your afterlife is filled with great fortune. It's my honor to be able to be friends with you. Come, drink. Shadow Agent Hua Hua was dumbfounded. Fuck, what happened? How did this little girl suddenly change from a shrew to an innocent and charming little girl? Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment, then he drank the wine in his glass in one gulp. Little Sister Jiao is really a straightforward person. What's the point of drinking without eating? Come, I have some good wine and dishes here. Xue Wuji took out a plate of delicious dishes from his storage ring. Are you expecting payment for this? Yun Chujio was obviously afraid of debaiming, so she asked if he wanted money. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment, and then said, Of course I don't want money. You're really generous. Yun Chujio picked up her chopsticks and drank the food and wine one mouthful at a time. Brother Wuji, come, you eat too. Yun Chujio said with a smile. Xue Wuji picked up his chopsticks and casually ate a few mouthfuls. Then he watched Yun Chujio eat. His eyes revealed a trace of unnoticeable pride. Last time, he had said too much and he almost made him commit suicide. How would he dare to ask more? TSK, how boring. If that expressionless man discovers that the little beauty he covets actually likes me, don't you think it would be very interesting? Xue Wuji took out a skull and started playing with it. Young master, I don't think debaiming would fall for that tan girl, right? She's so tan and boring. Why would debaiming fall for her? Could it be that she's lying to us? She took the truth-telling pill. It's impossible for her to lie. No matter what the reason made debaiming interested in her, I must have that little beauty in my hands. She actually dared to call me black chicken. Little beauty, it'll make you regret coming into this world. The skull in Xue Wuji's hands turned into powder. The black-clothed man shivered. This time, the young master was really angry. That tan girl was really too mean. Inform Jiao Jiao to withdraw. That expressionless man's subordinate spiritual power is too low. Don't try to overreach oneself. Yes. The black-robed man felt that his heart was calm. Compared to the name Jiao Jiao, Hua Hua was still acceptable. Chapter 252, Xue Wuji visited again. Damn it. This red-clothed pervert is really hard to deal with. If it wasn't for my quick wit, I'm afraid I would have choked my farts. Yun Chujio opened her eyes. How could she still be drunk? Master, how did that red-clothed pervert know that we're related? The little black bird was released from the spirit beast pouch. How would I know? I'm afraid that there's a mole within the gigolo's ranks or that someone is following him. However, he wants to trick me with that idiot chicken? It's simply a dream. I'll play him to death. Yun Chujio pouted and stood up. Master, since you're pretending to be drunk, why don't you just say that you have nothing to do with the gigolo? Little Black asked in confusion. Seeing that red-clothed pervert asked me that, I'm afraid he has some confidence about it. If I completely deny it, I'll make him suspicious. It's better to teeter between reality and a lie so that he can't figure it out. Master, will he still come to find trouble with us? Of course he will come. However, since he didn't make a move just now, he must have other plans. When the time comes, he'll just have to counter his moves. I don't believe that I can't defeat that chicken. I'll skin him alive and make a small fortune. His poison is a great tonic for me. Yun Chujio yawned. She put the spirit stones into her storage ring and went back to her room to sleep. Little Black looked at the mess on the stone table and said, Master, to put it nicely, you're open-minded. To put it bluntly, you're heartless. How can you fall asleep in this state? I'm so worried. A day after, Shui Wuji visited again when Yun Chujio was taking a walk in the yard. Little sister Jio, big brother is here to see you. Yun Chujio stepped back with a surprised look. So I wasn't dreaming that day? Did we really drink together? Shui Wuji sat on the stone bench as if he was familiar with her and smiled. Of course it's true. Didn't you say that you already considers me a friend? Yun Chujio said timidly, then you won't kill me and take my skull, right? Of course not. We're friends now. Shui Wuji had some doubts in his heart, but when he saw Yun Chujio's reaction, he thought to himself, this little girl was so bold last time. It seemed that she was truly drunk, so her words must be undoubtedly true. When Yun Chujio heard Shui Wuji's words, she immediately jumped over. Brother Wuji, since you're really befriending me, are you here to send me spirit stones and delicious food again? Shui Wuji gritted his teeth. Didn't I already give you 10,000 spirit stones last time? Yun Chujio pouted. Brother Wuji, I originally thought that you were much stronger than Di Baiming. I didn't expect you to be so stingy. You're really disappointing me. That expressionless man gave you spirit stones? How much did he give you? Since he coveted my beauty, he naturally had to curry favor with me. Not only did he give me spirit stones, he gave me a lot of delicious food too. For example, steamed white dace fish, braised sword-bristled pork ribs, shrimp, and pastries. He has always been very generous to me. However, I don't like his expressionless face. Otherwise, I would have listened to him. Yun Chujio sat on the stone bench, crossed her legs, and said, when Shui Wuji heard the names of these dishes, it was really not something that the people of Qingxian continent could make up. It seemed that Di Baiming, that expressionless guy, had really invested a lot in this little girl. How could he be inferior to him? Little sister Jio, you did the right thing. I'm telling you, that man is gay. It doesn't mean he fancies you just because he's being nice. He definitely has some unspeakable intentions toward you. It's just spirit stones and delicious food, right? I have plenty of them. In the future, feel free to ask me for them. Chapter 253. I'll play you to death, Brother Wuji. Do you know Di Baiming? Yun Chujio almost burst out laughing. If the gigolo knew that someone said he was gay, he would probably be so angry that he would hit his head against the wall. Of course I recognize that inexpressive man. Keep these spirit stones. If you run out of flowers, ask me for more. Shui Wuji changed the topic without batting an eyelid. Yun Chujio looked at the pile of shiny spirit stones on the ground and said with a smile, Brother Wuji, the storage bags given out by my sect are too small. Can you give me a few storage bags? Yun Chujio took out the storage bag given by the sect and said with a look of disdain. Shui Wuji's eyes flashed. Little sister Jio, I see that you don't have any spiritual power. How do you use the storage bag? Yun Chujio said mysteriously, Brother Wuji, I'll let you in on this secret. Actually, I have the thunder root spirit so I can cultivate. As for why others can't tell the presence or level of my spiritual power, it's because I obtained a spirit concealing pill and can hide my spiritual power after consuming it. Thunder spirit root? It's a very rare spiritual root. Does that expressionless Di Baiming know about this? Shui Wuji was very surprised even though he had already guessed that Yun Chujio had spirit energy. After all, without spirit energy, it was impossible for an immortal item to recognize her as its owner. However, her having the thunder root spirit was a little surprising. I can't be bothered to tell him. But he should have partly figured it out by now. Yun Chujio said disdainfully. Yun Chujio's disdainful expression pleased Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji took out a small ring from the storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. Little sister Jio, take this storage ring. This one is worth hundreds of storage bags. Shadow Agent Huahua rubbed his eyes and scratched his ears. My God, young master. Are you crazy or stupid? That was a storage ring with its own hidden attribute. How many people were there in the Tianyuan continent who could not even buy a high-grade spirit tool even if they were rich? And you're giving it to this tan girl just like that? Are you still the stingy young master that I know? Brother Wuji, this storage ring is too valuable. What if someone tries stealing it? It's better for you to give me a few storage bags. Although Yun Chujio said so, she clenched the storage ring tightly and had no intention of returning it to Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji naturally picked up on Yun Chujio's minor actions. Not only was he not disgusted, he even felt like he had found a kindred spirit. Little sister Jio, you don't have to worry about this. As long as you refine the ring, it can be hidden as you wish. Really? It's so magical? Brother Wuji, you're really too generous. Yun Chujio pretended to be a country bumpkin who had never seen the world before, but in fact, she was extremely happy in her heart. Little fellow, do you think you can fool me? I'll play you to death. Of course. Although this storage ring is worth millions of high-grade spirit stones, our friendship is priceless. In the future, if that expressionless man comes back, I'll help you deal with him. Yun Chujio nodded repeatedly. The two of them chatted for a while, and then Xue Wuji left with Shadow Agent Huahua. Huahua, what do you think of that little girl? Young master, I think that little girl is very greedy. She's also very impulsive. I can't see any other characteristics aside from that. You're right. I have the best experience in dealing with these type of people. All I need to do is spend some spirit stones and give her some good food. Young master, since this little girl is so easy to deal with, why didn't D. Biming take her down? Besides, with D. Biming's spiritual power, it's really easy to subdue her, so why let her rebel? TSK. Huahua, you don't even know. D. Biming, that inexpressive man, can't even speak. How could he make a young girl like him? As for why he didn't make a move, I'm afraid he just wanted to have some fun. After all, getting a person's heart is more challenging than anything else. Shadow Agent Huahua was speechless. Young master, is being so narcissistic good for you? According to what I know, there are more women who like D. Biming in the Tianyuan continent than people like you, someone who acts recklessly. Chapter 254. The lightning did not come with good intentions this time, young master. Although you want to bribe that little girl, you wouldn't go so far as to give her such a valuable storage ring, would you? Shadow Agent Huahua could not resist and asked courageously. Xue Wuji sneered a few times. After I'm done using that little girl, I'll kill her. At that time, that storage ring will be mine again. Everything in there will also be mine. How can I invest in a business that will not bring me benefit? Shadow Agent Huahua was enlightened. Young master is really wise. Xue Wuji laughed arrogantly. She's just a little girl, so I can easily toy with her. I'm not like that D. Biming. He can't even deal with a little girl after such a long time. What a waste. Shadow Agent Huahua nodded repeatedly, but there was a strange feeling in his heart. Could that little girl really be that simple? How can our young master handle someone so easily when even D. Biming couldn't? At the same time, Yun Chujio was refining the storage ring. After a while, she began to show off happily. Little black, little flame, am I that good at deceiving people? That Wuji still wants to use me to deal with the gigolo. PFE. With his coquettish appearance, he's not even as pleasing to the eye as a gigolo. He wants to use me? I'll play him to death. Master, that red-clothed pervert doesn't look like he's easy to talk to, but he went ahead and gave you such an expensive storage ring. Could it be a trap? Little Black blinked its possessed eyes and said suspiciously. Yun Chujio pouted. He probably wants to exploit me entirely before taking back the ring. Even the heavenly lightning can't kill me, and he wants to kill me? Dream on. Just as Yun Chujio finished her sentence, the originally clear sky gradually darkened. Yun Chujio raised her head to look. Thick, dark clouds was gathering in the sky. The dark color looked very scary, and there were even faint rolling thunderbolts. Little Black, I'm afraid it's not going to be good this time. Go into the spirit beast pouch. I'm afraid that you won't be able to withstand the intensity this time. Yun Chujio faintly felt a trace of unease. This kind of perception of danger allowed her to avoid countless life and death situations in her previous life, so she trusted her intuition. Little Black also felt a sense of suffocation and obediently hid in the spirit beast pouch. Yun Chujio also put the rolling pin and a few defensive spirit tools into her storage ring. She was afraid that the heavenly lightning this time would be too overbearing and hurt innocent people, so she ran into the depths of the back mountain. Master Xinyuan and the others naturally realized this phenomenon. Master, a large amount of dark clouds have gathered at the back mountain of Middle Peak. There are faint traces of lightning within. I'm afraid that the heavens can no longer tolerate Yun Chujio. Master Xinyuan was on a fence. Should he save her or not? If he did not save her, he would have to just watch as Yun Chujio was killed by the heavens. He really could not bear it. He had to save her. How could the strength of a mortal withstand the power of the heavenly lightning? Master Xinyuan thought for a moment with a serious expression, then said, "Everyone wait here. I'll go and check on Yun Chujio's situation. If anything happens to me, you'll choose a new sect master according to the sect's tradition." Sect master? Everyone immediately stopped Master Xinyuan when they heard him say this. Sect master, you're the sect master. How can you put yourself in danger? Yun Chujio is from my Middle Peak, I'll go. Peak Master Yu summoned his spirit sword and was about to ride it to the back of Middle Peak. Elder Chi said loudly, Peak Master Yu, stop. I'll go. My spiritual sense has long been damaged, and it will only be a matter of a few years. Why don't I do something for the sect? Elder Duanmu shouted loudly, everyone stop. Listen to me. Don't interfere in this matter. How can you and I bear the power of the heavens? This matter can only be borne by Yun Chujio herself. Even if we helped her to endure this time, every advancement in the future will be punished by the heavens. Can we help her to endure that? If she can endure it, it'll be her good fortune. If she can't, it'll also be her fate. When everyone heard Elder Duanmu's words, they remained silent. He's right. Even if we help Yun Chujio this time, what about the next time? What about the following events? If we want to grow, we have to go through trials and tribulations. Yun Chujio, will you defeat the heavens and fate? Chapter 255. You are destroying the ecological balance. Notify everyone that they aren't allowed to go near Middle Peak's back mountain. Those who violate the sect rules will be punished. Also, notify the people from the Middle Peak's kitchen to immediately stay away from the back mountain. Also, strengthen the patrols around the sect to prevent other forces from probing. After Master Xinyuan thought it through, he immediately ordered, go. The disciples of Spirit Radiance sect had also sensed an unusual aura. Even some of the disciples with low spiritual power felt a little breathless. What on earth was going on? If it was a cloudy day, why were there only such thick dark clouds gathered behind Middle Peak? Why was the sect forbidding them from approaching the back area? Yun Chu and the others did not see Yun Chujio. They ran to Yun Chujio's dormitory to look for her. When they saw that she was not in her dormitory, they thought that she had gone to Elder Chi's place. Only then did they retreat to a safe area with ease. After a quarter of an hour, several purple heavenly lightning bolts began to fall from the clouds. One after another. The booming sound was deafening. It was the first time that everyone had seen such a marvelous scene. Interesting. Do you think that these heavenly lightning bolts are striking something? It shouldn't be, right? Even if a mighty figure ascends to the heavenly tribulation, there should only be 9 heavenly lightning bolts, right? I think there has been more than 30 heavenly lightning bolts. With such a dense amount of heavenly lightning bolts, the back of the mountains probably has hold in it already. Then what's going on? Why would such a dense amount of heavenly lightning descend for no reason? Who knows? Let's just watch the show. No matter what happens, it has nothing to do with us little shrimps. Unlike the idle masses, Master Xinyuan and the others were extremely worried. Could Yun Chujio withstand such a dense amount of heavenly lightning? The purple heavenly lightning was comparable to the lightning of tribulation. If it was anyone else, they would not even be able to withstand 7 bolts. What was more, 12 bolts. It seemed that the heavens had given up on killing Yun Chujio, this heaven-defying existence. Everyone could not help but sigh. Who would have thought that the most useless Yun Chujio actually had the most heaven-defying heavenly lightning root spirit? However, would Yun Chujio be able to survive? At that moment, Yun Chujio was like a rabbit being chased by a dog at the back of the mountain, constantly shuttling through the forest. Those purple lightning bolts continuously struck the trees, and the low-level demon beasts there ran down the mountain like crazy. Yun Chujio dodged while cursing, "You damned little loaches, you're destroying the ecological balance, do you understand? You've already cut down the trees. How are these little creatures going to survive in the future? You're really heartless. I'm embarrassed for you. Shameless. I'm talking about you guys. It's fine if you chop me up for no reason, but why do you always come to gang up on me? If you have the ability, fight me one-on-one. Do you think I'm afraid of you? I've eaten too much, so I'm just going to play with you guys. Since you're rushing to your death, then come. I'll wait for you." Yun Chujio was a typical loser who could not lose. Even though she was hiding in an extremely sorry state, her mouth was not idle. She annoyed the dark clouds in the sky. Strike with all your might. The clouds will not disappear until the scourge was rid of. An hour later, Yun Chujio found that the forest had been hacked into charcoal, and she could not run anymore. The dark clouds in the sky twisted a few times proudly, and the purple lightning struck down even more densely. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. For now, she could only rely on the strange grass in her dantian. It was not her time yet, so she could not choke on her farts. Therefore, Yun Chujio ran as she communicated with the strange grass in her dantian. Chapter 256 was like a balloon. Yun Chujio talked to the strange grass in her dantian. "Go Weiba, this is a great opportunity. Save up all the dense heavenly lightning. After I survive this round, I'll advance to the 6th level of spirit enhancement. When the time comes, I'll refine even more advanced medicinal pills for you. Go Weiba, we're now on the same boat. My host body is choking on its farts, and you won't live either, so you better buck up. Go Weiba, I see that you're usually pretty awesome. Don't tell me you can't even deal with these little purple loaches?" The strange grass in her dantian shook violently, probably conveying that it looked down on the purple heavenly lightning bolts. Yun Chujio instantly felt a lot more at ease. Although the strange grass was a ticking time bomb, it would at least protect her before trying to fatten her up with nourishment. Yun Chujio felt confident in her heart, and she immediately started showing off. "Hey, I'm tired from running, so I'm just going to sit here. If you have the ability, then strike me. If you don't dare to do so, then you're a bastard." As Yun Chujio said that, she actually sat cross-legged on the ground, looking as if she was ready to be struck by lightning. The dark clouds in the sky began to churn violently. Several purple bolts of lightning gathered into 5 huge bolts of lightning as thick as a wrist, and struck down violently at Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio could not help but feel her scalp go numb. In the past, one such bolt of lightning could strike her no problem. However, with these 5 bolts of lightning, she definitely would have to get her hair messy. If other people knew what Yun Chujio was thinking at that moment, they would definitely be angered to death. At that point in time, she was still thinking about her hair. The most important thing right then was to save her life, alright? The 5 huge bolts of lightning were like 5 purple lightning dragons, ferociously pouncing toward Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio made up her mind. At most, she would die. Perhaps with this strike, she would have transmigrated again. This time, she had to arrange a good family for her. If she was not going to be a princess, then at least let her date one. Just as Yun Chujio's thoughts were running wild, 5 bolts of lightning had already struck her. Yun Chujio could not help but let out a miserable cry. Fuck. It hurt so much. Her body seemed as though it was about to explode. All her limbs and bones were occupied by the ferocious power of lightning. The power of lightning kept crashing into Yun Chujio's meridians. Yun Chujio's body was obviously rapidly expanding. At that moment, only Yun Chujio's brain was functioning. At that moment, she thought miserably, it's over. I'm like a balloon now. When it reaches a certain level, I'm going to explode. Dead without a complete corpse. The dark clouds in the sky shook with pride. Little fellow, let's see how you'll stagger when going up against the heavenly lightning. It'll definitely strike you into ashes. Boom, boom, boom. The dark clouds continued to ceaselessly strike. Yun Chujio felt that she was going to be doomed this time. Although the strange grass in her dantian was trying its best to absorb the lightning in her body, it could not withstand the continuous lightning strikes from the dark clouds in the sky. Just as it absorbed a portion of it, a large amount of lightning power surged into her body. She was only flesh and blood. How could she withstand such violent lightning power? Master, let me out. I'll help you absorb some. Little Black shouted from inside the spiritual beast pouch. It's useless even if you come out, Little Black. It's different this time. Why should you sacrifice your little life? Besides, we signed an equal contract. If I die, you'll be free. Yun Chujio said with a bitter smile. I'm willing. Stop talking nonsense. Let me out quickly. Little Black kept banging its head against the spiritual beast pouch, as if it would kill itself if it was not let out. Chapter 257. De-biming, stop. Yun Chujio was touched when she saw the little black bird's actions. Little Black, you're so kind. I won't bully you anymore. Every time I tricked you to go out for a walk, I was actually secretly eating good food. Little Black was stunned. Was it too late to regret? Such a heartless master. If it died, it died. So be it. After Little Black was released, the dark clouds immediately realized that this was another scourge. Several purple lightning bolts struck toward Little Black. After swallowing a few bolts, the little black bird could not take it anymore. After all, it was still a young bird. To be able to swallow a few bolts of lightning was already extremely heaven-defying. Little Black's feathers began to fall off quickly. If they fell off, it would not be able to resist the lightning at all. The rolling pin in the storage ring shouted anxiously, Master, let me out. I might be able to help you block it after I transform. Nonsense, after you transform, you're just a mortal weapon. These purple loaches can split you into pieces in an instant. Wait patiently. I won't die so easily. Yun Chujio said as she put Little Black into her spirit beast pouch. Master, why did you put me back? Let me out. Why would I let you out? To make you become a bald chicken? Don't worry, a scourge like me won't die. Although Yun Chujio's tone was light, the skin on her body started to bleed. Yun Chujio felt that her consciousness started to become a little blurry. She could not even feel the pain in her body anymore. She allowed the power of lightning in her body to continuously crash into her meridians. Why did the heavenly lightning not strike her again? Yun Chujio forced herself to focus. She saw a white figure standing in front of her. Both of his hands were continuously forming seals. Gigolo? Was she hallucinating? Yun Chujio bit her tongue. Her mind became clearer. When she took a closer look, she saw that it really was de-biming. De-biming was continuously forming seals to resist the heavenly lightning that struck down on her. Yun Chujio still remembered the last time she was struck by heavenly lightning. De-biming kept dodging it comically. Was he stupid? He actually took the hit for her. Cough cough. Yun Chujio spat out a mouthful of blood and said weakly, Gigolo, get lost. I can do it myself. De-biming did not stop forming seals and snorted coldly, How dare you scold me, black thing? I won't forgive you. Your mortal body is still useful. Even the heavenly lightning can't take you away. Even if I'm dead, you can still drain blood from me. They're coming for me. Get lost. Yun Chujio did not know where her strength came from, but she struggled to stand up and ran a few steps to the side. Then she shouted to the sky, "Bastards, heavenly lightning! Come here, strike me. If you don't, you're a coward." The heavenly lightning immediately changed its target and struck at Yunchujio. Baiming gritted his teeth and rushed over. "Black Thing, are you courting death?" Baiming blocked Yunchujio behind him again and kept forming seals to resist the heavenly lightning. An Feng and an Yin also rushed over at that time. The three of them protected Yunchujio in the middle and dispersed most of the heavenly lightning. The power of the heavenly lightning was not something a human could resist. An Yin and an Feng were soon knocked out. Fortunately, the target of the heavenly lightning was clear. Seeing that the two of them had fainted, it did not bother with them anymore. Baiming's white clothes had been torn into wisps, and his hair had turned into charcoal. His hands were moving slower and slower, and blood began oozing out from his eyes, ears, mouth, and nose. Baiming, "Stop! I don't need you to care about me. Get lost." Yunchujio shouted at the top of her lungs as blood and tears flowed from her eyes. Chapter 258. Even the heavens are not allowed to touch my person. Cough, cough. Black Thing, shut up. Even the heavens are not allowed to touch my person. Baiming spat out a mouthful of blood, and then increased the speed of his seal formation. The dark clouds in the sky was also furious. Where did this idiot come from? He actually dares to help Yunchujio fight against us? He's really courting death. Kill him. Although Baiming's spiritual power was superb, his spiritual power was suppressed in the Qingxian continent. Hence, he was already at the end of his rope at that moment. He was completely relying on his will to hold on. After another round of lightning strikes, Baiming spat out another mouthful of blood. His body started to shake, but his hands were still forming seals, protecting Yunchujio behind the barrier. Yunchujio jumped forward and her palm landed on the back of Baiming's neck. Baiming was solely focused on holding off the heavenly lightning when Yunchujio hit him. His body went limp and he fell to the ground. Yunchujio was a bloody person as her body was covered in blood. She moved forward with difficulty, then straightened her body and laughed at the sky. "Strike me. You can continue to strike me. I'm here. Come strike me." When the heavenly thunder heard Yunchujio's clamor, it immediately struck at Yunchujio. Yunchujio was initially standing, but soon sat on the ground before falling over. Even so, Yunchujio continued to provoke the heavenly thunder. "You useless little loaches. So many bolts of lightning still can't kill me. You're really useless. Are you all old, weak, sick, and disabled? What a bunch of weaklings. If you have the ability, then just keep attacking me. Let's see who will have the last laugh. You weaklings." The reason why Yunchujio was so arrogant was to attract all the heavenly lightning to her side. No matter what, she could not let the gigolo die because of her. The blood on Yunchujio's body dyed the ground red. Yunchujio felt that her life force was gradually dissipating. Was she really going to die this time? Yunchujio's consciousness began to slip. Scenes from the past flashed in her mind. Her grandfather, who loved her deeply, her brother and sister who valued their family, and her gigolo who was hard-mouthed but soft-hearted. Seeing that, the dark clouds in the sky could not help but become even more arrogant. Bolts of lightning struck down one after another. "You heaven-defying scourge. You're dead for sure this time." Yunchujio's eyes suddenly shone brightly. No, she could not die. She had not fulfilled her promise to protect the Yun family. She had not found her missing foster parents. She had not even asked her gigolo to kneel down and sing for her. Regardless of whether it was thunder or landmines, Yunchujio would never yield. Yunchujio suddenly sat up and began to meditate with her legs crossed. Since the thunder root spirit in her body wanted to push her to her death, then she would refine all of it. "Let's see whether you'll kill me or I'll absorb you." Yunchujio sealed all her 5 senses and completely immersed her consciousness in her meridians, constantly refining the violent thunder root spirit power in her body. The sky gradually darkened, but the thunder still had not ended. The rumbling sound was like heavy hammers hitting the hearts of Master Xianyuan and the others. "It has been nearly 6 hours. The heavenly lightning hasn't ended yet. Does this mean that Yun Chujio is still alive? Elder Chi's voice trembled slightly. It must be so. Otherwise, the heavenly lightning would have dispersed long ago. Yun Chujio actually withstood the lightning strikes for 6 hours with the strength of a mortal. This is simply unbelievable. Elder Duanmu, logically speaking, shouldn't this heavenly tribulation gradually strengthen along with Yun Chujio's cultivation? Why is this heavenly tribulation so overbearing when Yun Chujio has just started cultivating? Master Xinyuan asked in puzzlement. I have no way of knowing. However, if she can endure it, her future is bound to be limitless. She'll definitely become a prodigy of Qingxian continent. Elder Duanmu said in a deep voice. Chapter 259 was getting livelier. Another 4 hours had passed, and the lightning strikes were still ongoing. Master Xinyuan and the others could not sit still and kept looking toward the back mountains of Middle Peak. It's been 10 hours. Even a mountain would be flattened by the lightning strikes. Besides, Yun Chujio is just a mortal. Could it be that we've made a mistake and that these heavenly lightning bolts aren't actually going for her? Elder Xiao said with a frown. There wouldn't be such a large-scale purple heavenly lightning storm other than to wipe out the heavenly root spirit. Even a mighty figure who's about to ascend can only withstand 9 heavenly lightning bolts. Even if a unique legendary practitioner was born, there would only be a few heavenly lightning bolts at most. Elder Duanmu said with certainty. But how did Yun Chujio withstand so many heavenly lightning bolts? This is too unbelievable. An elder asked in puzzlement. I'm also very curious. If this little girl really can endure it, I'll definitely ask her face to face. She has always been eccentric, so maybe she has some tricks up her sleeve. Elder Chu said while stroking his beard. Let's hope that she can endure it. Even 10 hours of heavenly lightning can't even kill her. Such tenacious willpower is rarely seen in this world. She'll definitely have extraordinary achievements in the future. Yeah, let's not talk about anything else. Her heavenly root spirit is set in stone. When the time comes, she will amaze the entire Qingxian continent. She might even become the youngest ascendant in the Qingxian continent. Just as Master Xinyuan and the others were discussing, Yun Chujio's location had already been hacked into a huge deep pit. In the center of the pit was Yun Chujio, who was meditating with her legs crossed. Not far away from her was the unconscious Di Baiming. Yun Chujio's body was undergoing a huge transformation. The tyrannical lightning spirit force in Yun Chujio's body was forcefully smoothed out by her divine sense and continuously flowed into her dantian. Another leaf grew out of the strange grass and it was devouring the lightning energy that Yun Chujio smoothed out. Yun Chujio's meridians had been expanded to twice their original thickness, and they were getting stronger and stronger. Even if the lightning continued to pour in, they would not break. Finally, most of the lightning that Yun Chujio had accumulated in her body had been devoured by the strange grass. Yun Chujio suddenly opened her eyes. If someone saw Yun Chujio's eyes then, they would definitely be shocked. This was because Yun Chujio's eyes were filled with purple lightning. After a moment, Yun Chujio's eyes returned to normal. She stood up, looked up at the sky, and smiled brightly. Little Loach, I survived. If you have any other abilities, just come at me. I still have to thank you. If you didn't rush to your death, how could I cultivate so quickly? Come on. Continue to strike me. Come on. Don't strike me one by one. You guys are still gathered together. I'll take care of you together. If you don't strike me, then you admit that you're just shameless bastards. The dark clouds in the sky was dumbfounded. What was going on? Was this scourge not about to be struck to death a couple moments ago? Why was she still alive and kicking? Strike, strike, strike her to death. Streaks of purple heavenly lightning struck toward Yun Chujio once again. Not only was Yun Chujio not struck to death, she was even giggling. Good strike, good strike, good strike. I'm laughing out loud. You're thinking that my cultivation speed is a little slow, so you want to lend me a hand, right? You guys are really good at helping others. The dark clouds in the sky were getting increasingly disheartened as they struck her. The more they struck, the more hopeless they felt. Oh heavens, oh earth! Who can tell me why is this scourge getting livelier? The dark clouds was finally so angry that it rained heavily before drifting away with a look of despair. When Yunchujio saw that the dark clouds had finally drifted away, she let out a long sigh. Then she turned her head to look at Di Baiming beside her. Then her nose started to bleed. Chapter 260. Ugh, how dizzying! Di Baiming's clothes were all turned into rags by the lightning. Yunchujio, the small, perverted wolf, immediately had a nosebleed when she saw that. Yunchujio was really big-hearted. Even after going through such a monumental transformation, she was still lustful enough to have the intention to take advantage of Di Baiming. She stretched out her perverted claws and wanted to pull away the rags that were in her way. At that moment, Di Baiming opened his eyes, and the poor Supreme Emperor's nose started bleeding. Yunchujio saw that Di Baiming had woken up, so she sheepishly retracted her claws and said, "Prince Charming, you're awake? I was just about to help you up." Di Baiming's face turned red, and he quickly closed his eyes and said, "Why don't you have your clothes on? You're akin to a black bean sprout, and you're actually trying to seduce me?" Yunchujio was stunned. Then she looked down and was doubly stunned. She was worse than a gigolo. Yunchujio quickly took out a set of clothes from her storage ring and put them on hurriedly. When she turned around, she saw Di Baiming trying to put his clothes on with his mouth and teeth because his hands and feet were stiff. They were not cooperating at all. When he saw Yunchujio looking at him, he became even more anxious. In the end, he spat out a mouthful of blood. Di Baiming did not have Yunchujio's weirdly extraordinary body. Previously, he had completely exhausted his spiritual power and suffered serious internal injuries. It was good enough that he could preserve his life. How could he be as lively as Yunchujio? Di Baiming took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring. Yunchujio helped to pour out a few pills and stuffed them into Di Baiming's mouth. Di Baiming swallowed the pills. Although he no longer spat out blood, his hands and feet still were not responding. Yunchujio saw the situation and immediately smiled with ill intentions. She began to admire the handsome man openly. Di Baiming's head had been zapped bald by the heavenly lightning. However, not only was it not ugly, but it also added a mysterious aura. Looking at it made Yunchujio's claws itch. Di Baiming's face turned red. "Black thing, turn around for me." Yunchujio pouted. Although she turned her body around, she angled her head back and stared at Di Baiming lecherously. "Turn your head around too." Di Baiming was so angry that he gritted his teeth. The black thing was really shameless. Yunchujio shrugged her shoulders and said lightly, "Prince Charming, don't blame me for not reminding you. In a while, Master Xinyuan and the others will come. Do you want those old men to admire your strong body?" Di Baiming's face stiffened and he gritted his teeth. "Black thing, come and help me put on my clothes." Yunchujio turned around and hugged her shoulders. She shook her legs and said, "I'll reluctantly help you put on your clothes. However, don't you think we should talk about the cost? As the saying goes, brothers always settle their debts. This is one thing, so you can't let me work for free, right?" Di Baiming was so angry that he almost spat out another mouthful of blood. He gritted his teeth and said, "How much do you want? You know my price. It's 2,000 spirit stones. I think your clothes are quite complicated. I'll give you a set price of 10,000 spirit stones. How about it? Isn't it expensive?" Yunchujio said with a smile. "Deal." Di Baiming was so angry that the veins on his forehead popped up. "Black thing, just you wait, I won't forgive you." Yunchujio quickly helped Di Baiming put it on. Of course, during the process of putting it on, she could not help but take advantage of him and said a few flirtatious words. The miserable lord fainted once again. Yes, he fainted from anger. Chapter 261. Chopping board. Yunchujio was stunned. The gigolo was so easily abashed. "I didn't say anything controversial. What a shy and innocent young man." Yunchujio looked up. She still did not know how to ride a sword, so how was she going to fly up? She could only wait for Master Xinyuan and the others to come and save her. If they asked the pretty boy and the others about their identities, how was she going to explain it? The rolling pin said from inside the storage ring, "Master, It'll take you guys out of this hole. Yun Chujio took out the rolling pin doubtfully. Then, she asked with a confused look, how are you going to do that? You want me to carry the gigolo and stand on you with 1 feet? The rolling pin quickly became longer and wider. Then it said proudly, Master, after your spiritual power increased, I advanced too. I can now become big. The corner of Yun Chujio's eyes twitched. Well, it was an upgrade. The rolling pin had become a large chopping board. Yun Chujio did not have the time to complain. She carried Di Biming on her shoulder and then stood on the chopping board. The rolling pin swayed and flew up. Soon, it flew to the top of the deep pit. When Master Xinyuan and the others arrived and saw the scene below, Yun Chujio had a bald head and a bald man on her shoulder. She stood on a chopping board and emerged from the ground. Yun Chujio bared her white teeth at everyone. Master Xinyuan, this is a natural disaster, not a man-made disaster. You want to make me pay for it, right? The corners of everyone's mouths twitched. They never thought that Yun Chujio's first sentence would be this. Master Xinyuan coughed dryly. Of course I want make you compensate me. Who are you carrying on your shoulders? This? This is my savior. I don't know him either. You can ask him when he wakes up later. Yun Chujio said with a confused look. She wondered to herself where an Feng and an Yin were. When everyone heard this, they immediately made up their minds. No wonder Yun Chujio could endure the heavenly lightning for 10 hours. It turned out that she had the help of an expert. Elder Chu looked curiously at the chopping board under Yun Chujio's feet. Little girl, what is this? Yun Chujio was amused. Remember the rolling pin that my master gave me? Once my spiritual power leveled up, it becomes more capable too. Yun Chujio yawned. Sect Master, I'm hungry and tired now. Can we talk about this tomorrow? Besides, I have an injured person here. Master Xinyuan nodded. Leave him to me. They'll bring him back for treatment. Yun Chujio shook her head. Before this benefactor fainted, he told me to guard him at all times. He saved my life, so I naturally can't go against his will. Just give me a couple bottles of good medicinal pills to treat his internal injuries. The corners of Master Zuanyuan's eyes twitched slightly. He took out a porcelain bottle from his storage ring. This is a 6th grade muscle revitalization pill. It has a miraculous effect on internal injuries. Take it. Yun Chujio took the porcelain bottle and put it in her pocket. Then, she carried Di Biming and flew away on the chopping board. Everyone looked at Yun Chujio's back with a dumbfounded expression. They were all riding swords, all right? This Yun Chujio was riding a chopping board. Everyone naturally gossiped for a while. However, after the person in question left, everyone started leaving too. They were planning to ask about Yun Chujio's situation in detail the next day. Yun Chujio had just carried Di Biming to the dormitory when an Feng and an Yin appeared from the shadows. When Yun Chujio saw their appearances, she almost fell off the chopping board. Well, those two were also bald. Chapter 262. The deity is asleep. An Feng and an Yin were only knocked out by the lightning, so they did not suffer any serious injuries. Therefore, when they realized that someone was coming, they quickly stuck a concealment talisman on them and retreated. Fortunately, Master Xinyuan and the others only paid attention to Yun Chujio, so they did not notice them. An Feng and Yin, your new hairstyle is quite cool. Yun Chujio jumped down from the chopping board and said with a smile. The corner of An Feng's eyes twitched. Miss Jio, is our revered sir all right? Don't worry. It's not a big problem. He only suffered some internal injuries. His limbs are stiff and he vomited a few mouthfuls of blood. Yun Chujio carried Di Biming and walked into the house with a valiant spirit. An Feng and an Yin looked at each other. It was that bad and she thinks there's no big problem? Miss Jio, you really have a heart of stone. Our revered lord gave up his life for you, and you're treating our revered lord like this. Yun Chujio carried Di Biming into the house and placed him on the bed. She pursed her lips and said, Prince Charming, how long do you want to pretend? I know that you've long woken up. Di Biming opened his eyes and coughed dryly. He said weakly, Nonsense, I have only just woken up. Yun Chujio saw that his injuries were not light, so she did not hold him to it. Do you still need to eat any other pills? Take them out and I'll feed them to you. Yun Chujio lit the candle as she spoke. Then she turned around and looked at Di Baiming. Di Baiming looked at Yun Chujio in a daze. Previously, at the bottom of the pit, the light was dim, so he did not pay much attention to it. After the black thing was struck, she had turned much fairer. Even if she did not have any hair, it did not change her delicate facial features. A pair of big, watery eyes were looking at him. She pouted her pink lips and looked at him in confusion. A certain someone's face turned red. He said awkwardly, "No need. I won't die." Yun Chujio mumbled in confusion, "It's not hot in this room. Why is your face so red? What nonsense are you spouting? Quickly turn off the lights and go to sleep." Di Baiming gritted his teeth and shouted. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. This damn gigolo, her impression of him was much better, but he was acting up again. He really deserved to be beaten up. Now that you can't move your hands and feet, let's see how I can deal with you. Prince Charming, you have to wash up before you go to sleep. We were caught in the rain just now, so it would be nasty if we didn't wash up. Wait a minute. They'll go get hot water. In a while, I'll personally help you wash up. Yun Chujio emphasized the last two words. The red tide that had faded from his face surged up once again. A beautiful scene appeared in his mind once again, and he could only roar angrily, "I want bathe. I'm sleepy. I'm going to bed." After Di Baiming finished speaking, he lied to himself and closed his eyes. Yun Chujio smiled evilly and hopped out to get some hot water. Not long after, Yun Chujio came back. She took out a large wooden bucket from her storage ring. The bucket was already filled with warm water. "Prince Charming? Prince Charming? Are you asleep?" Yun Chujio moved closer to the bed and called out a few times. Di Baiming closed his eyes and ignored her. "Tisk, looks like he's really asleep. Guess I'll just shower myself." Yun Chujio smiled and started to take off her clothes. Then she stepped into the bathtub. "Scrub-dub-dub. Please take mine and bring it back to me. If you eat mine, spit it out for me." Yun Chujio happily hummed a little song while playing with the water. The sad Supreme Emperor laid on the bed. His face turned even redder when he heard the sound of Yun Chujio in the water. Chapter 263. Could it be a sequela of the lightning strikes? Di Baiming could not help but spit at himself. What was there to think about when she was just an unattractive and uninteresting black bean sprout? Even if he wanted to, he should think about what the black thing would look like when she grew up. Di Baiming inexplicably recalled that Yun Chujio once said "suffocate you to death" while talking about her chest, and immediately blood flowed out from his nose. Yun Chujio had been staring at Di Baiming, and when she saw this situation, she could not help but giggle. "Prince Charming, is that the aftermath of the lightning strike? Why is your nose bleeding all the time? Are you going to bleed to death?" Di Baiming could no longer pretend to sleep, and he said angrily, "I've been taking in too much supplements recently, that's why my nose is bleeding. What's the big deal?" Yun Chujio pouted. "No wonder you haven't been here recently. So you've been secretly eating some good stuff." After Yun Chujio said that, she felt that the sentence sounded wrong. She seemed to be a little jealous, so she quickly added, "Actually, it's okay if you don't come. I've met a fool recently whom I've cheated." Di Baiming snorted. "Must be that idiot Xue Wuji. You're asking a tiger for its skin. Stay away from him from now on." "How did you know?" Yun Chujio asked curiously. "I naturally have a way to find out. Aren't you afraid that he'll kill you? Xue Wuji is famous for being temperamental and ruthless. You actually dared to trick him. Once he finds out, he wouldn't spare you." Di Baiming easily avoided Yun Chujio's question. Yun Chujio pouted and said, "I have no choice. That black chicken's spiritual power is very high. I can run away from the monk, but I can't run away from the temple. Naturally, I have to think of a way to fool him. Oh, by the way, what's the relationship between the two of you?" "Black chicken?" Di Baiming was stunned at first and then laughed out loud. He overexerted and accidentally exacerbated his internal injuries, coughing for a long time before he recovered. Cough cough. "Good. Black thing, that nickname is good. That idiot matches the name Black Chicken perfectly. Prince Charming, then are the two of you friends or enemies? Don't tell me you're good friends who are in a love-hate relationship? Yun Chujio's eyes flashed with a gossipy light as she asked curiously. Of course we're enemies. That idiot keeps trying to defeat me, it's simply a fool's dream. Alright, what does good friend mean? Yun Chujio did not dare to tell the truth, so she said vaguely, good friend just means good friend. Oh no, the water is all gone. I have to hurry out and put on my clothes. Yun Chujio came out of the bathtub nonchalantly, wiped herself with a towel, and then began to slowly put on her clothes. This girl thought that since the gigolo's neck could not move, there was nothing to be afraid of. Who would have thought that after D. Biming took the pill, his neck could rotate slightly? D. Biming subconsciously turned his neck and, yes, dyed the pillow with blood again. D. Biming wanted to turn his head away, but his neck could not move at this time. Coincidentally, when Yun Chujio looked up, she saw D. Biming staring at her with a bloody nose. Yun Chujio was also stunned. Although she was quite thick-skinned, she could still be embarrassed. Yun Chujio's face was flushed red. She put on her clothes and pretended to be calm. Prince Charming, if you want to see, just say it. Why did you have to sneak a peek? D. Biming felt that that day was the saddest day in his life. His face turned red and then white. He gritted his teeth and said, why would I sneak a peek at you? I was just looking at the bathtub. Your bathtub is quite special. Chapter 264. Just you wait. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and smiled evilly. Prince Charming, since you like this bathtub so much, it'll help you get a closer look at it. D. Biming suddenly had a bad feeling. Yun Chujio picked up D. Biming and threw him into the bathtub. Cough, black thing. Why you are rebelling? This isn't right. Just you wait. I won't forgive you. D. Biming choked on water and gritted his teeth in anger. D. Biming was really angry, but at that moment, he had no other way to express it other than using words. Yun Chujio leaned on the side of the bathtub and said with a smile, Prince Charming, you've misunderstood me. You were drenched in the rain earlier, so it's good to soak in the bath to get rid of the cold. Besides, don't you have a mysophobia? Your body is covered in blood and dirt. That must be uncomfortable. D. Biming choked. What the black thing said made sense. If he did not wash up, it would indeed be uncomfortable. However, he was not stupid. He knew that Yun Chujio was deliberately messing with him. He gritted his teeth. Forget it. He may be controlled by someone then, but he would endure it first. In the future, when he has recovered, he would look for this black thing to settle scores. Yun Chujio was so smart. Even if she used her feet to think, she could guess what D. Biming was thinking. However, as the saying goes, drink till you're drunk. Since D. Biming could not do anything to her then, she naturally had to make good use of the rare opportunity to vent her anger. The gigolo had scared her a lot in the past. Finally, it was her time to breathe a sigh of relief for the great days to come. It was not easy. She was very proud in her heart, and her face could not help but show a little bit of pride. Seeing this, D. Biming became more and more frustrated and stopped talking. She rolled her eyes and stared at D. Biming's new hairdo. She said with a smile, My Prince Charming, your new hairdo is very shiny. There's no need to light candles in this room anymore. With us two bald heads, there will be enough light. Tisk. My Prince Charming, I have to say that you're really good looking. You're so good looking even without your hair. My Prince Charming, why don't you keep it like that in the future? It'll save you a lot of trouble and looks good on you. When D. Biming heard Yun Chujio praising him so much, he could not help but feel a little smug in his heart. His anger had dissipated a little. He thought to himself to forget it. Seeing that the black thing spoke well, he reluctantly forgave her for throwing him into the bathtub. Just as he was thinking about it, he heard Yun Chujio say, Oh man, the water in this bathtub is cold. Let me help you change it. Yun Chujio took out a new bathtub as she spoke. Then she picked up a certain someone and threw him into the new bathtub. The certain someone could not help but choke on a few mouthfuls of water. He immediately threw his previous thoughts to the back of his mind. This black thing really deserved to be taught a lesson. After changing the water a few times, Yun Chujio finally showed mercy and pulled Di Baiming out of the bathtub. She still had some integrity. She did not help Di Baiming change his clothes. Instead, she used her spiritual power to help him dry his clothes. Of course, this fellow was actually afraid of provoking Di Baiming. It would be bad if he vomited blood again. Even so, he was still a little uncomfortable as his ears were always red. Black Thing Jiu was also a little uncomfortable. When she was drying her clothes, she started to brag about how she had tricked Xue Wuji. Although Di Baiming did not want to listen to that Xue Wuji nonsense, he cooperated and chatted with Yun Chujio in order to divert his attention. Chapter 265. My life will be different from now on. Yun Chujio tidied up the bed before placing Di Baiming on the outer side of the bed. She straightened out the bed and climbed to the inner corner. Di Baiming saw that she was mumbling something and frowned. Black Thing, what are you talking about? Are you secretly scolding me? Yun Chujio pouted and thought to herself, so what if I'm scolding you? You're now a paper tiger. You can't do anything to me. However, when she thought of what happened during the day, she turned around and looked at Di Baiming with bright eyes. Prince Charming, how can I do such an ungrateful thing? Alright, why did you decide to save me? Di Baiming raised his eyebrows. I've mentioned before that your blood is useful to me. Hasn't it been a year? Your illness should have been cleared, right? I don't think you need my blood anymore. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Di Baiming snorted awkwardly. Although the poison has been cleared, your blood is very beneficial to me. Naturally, I can't bear to let such a precious spiritual herb like you die. Oh, so that's how it is. I thought you liked me. Thank goodness. If you really liked me, I'd still. Yun Chujio did not complete her sentence. Instead, she laid back on the bed disappointedly and did not speak anymore. When Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujio did not speak anymore, he felt extremely uncomfortable. What did the black thing want to say next? In the end, Di Baiming could not help but cough dryly and said, You'd still... Yun Chujio said gloomily, I'm sleeping. Di Baiming choked and snorted coldly. If you don't want to say it, then don't say it. Stop daydreaming. Why would I like you? Yun Chujio did not say anything. She cursed in her heart. What an annoying gigolo. If you don't like me, then don't. What's the big deal? If it wasn't for the fact that you worked so hard to save me, I wouldn't have bothered to talk to you. A gigolo like you begging me on your knees. Actually, I can still consider it. Seeing that Yun Chujio did not speak, Di Baiming felt a little regretful in his heart. However, since he had already said it, he naturally did not have the reason to take it back. He added awkwardly, Actually, you've become a lot fairer now. Ever since Yun Chujio came back, she had not looked at herself in the mirror. When she heard Di Baiming say that, she immediately climbed down from the bed, lit a candle, and ran in front of the mirror to take a look. Oh my, who is this little beauty in the mirror? Mirror, mirror, quickly tell me. Who is the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect? Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio is the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect. Yun Chujio pinched her throat and answered herself. She usually never asked others for help when she could do things on her own. Therefore, she did not feel embarrassed at all even when she was playing two roles. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched slightly. Was the black thing going crazy? Yun Chujio wiggled in front of the mirror and praised herself a bunch before returning to the bed. Prince Charming, let me tell you. It's useless even if you regret saying that you like me now. The current me is different from the past. I was almost mesmerized by my own beauty. In the future, those who pursue me will probably line up from Spirit Radiance sect all the way to Yi City. I, Yun Chujio, now have both beauty and spiritual power. La, my life will be different from now on. Yun Chujio said proudly. Chapter 266. Who are you trying to scare? You're just slightly better and suddenly you become most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect? How shameless. I've never seen someone as thick-skinned as you. Baiming's heart ached when he thought of other men approaching Yunchujio. So what if I'm thick-skinned? What does it have to do with you? From now on, I'll be the most beautiful person in Spirit Radiance sect. Baiming was so angry that he almost fainted. He said angrily, "Black Thing, in the future, I'll kill all the men who approaches you. I'll see who dares to come near you. Then I'll go and look for Brother Wuji. Brother Wuji isn't afraid of you. Brother Wuji was quite generous with me, and he's better looking than you." Yun Chujio said proudly. Good. I knew that the relationship between you and that red-robed fool was not that simple. Black Thing, it's best if you kill me now. Otherwise, when I'm better, I'll definitely kill you and that red-robed fool with my own hands. Baiming's eyes were red and he was obviously extremely angry. Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. "TSK, who are you trying to scare? If you have the ability, then hurry up and get better. Otherwise, when you're done, Brother Wuji and I will have long been together." When Baiming thought of Shui Wuji hugging Yun Chujio, he almost spat out a mouthful of blood. "The Black Thing is mine. Anyone who dares to snatch her from me will die." If Shui Wuji was in front of him right now, he would probably want to slap him to death to vent his anger. When Yun Chujio saw that Baiming was so angry that his facial features were almost deformed, she felt a trace of guilt in her heart. The gigolo was a wounded man, and he was injured because he saved her. Was it not a little too much for her to say that? Just as Yun Chujio was about to say something to ease the tension, Baiming gritted his teeth and said, "Black Thing, do you think that I'm angry because I care about you? In fact, I just don't like my things being touched by others. There are many women who like this venerable self, and there are countless women who are more beautiful than you. I've not visited in such a long time because I went back to pick myself a concubine. The women in Tianyuan continent are much more outstanding than you. They're both beautiful and virtuous. When they heard that I was going to pick my concubines, all of them cried and begged me." Baiming's words stopped abruptly because he was kicked off the bed by Yun Chujio. Although a certain supreme being did not fall or got hurt, he was kicked off the bed by someone. That really hurt his self-esteem. However, there was nothing he could do. One could imagine the anger and grievance in his heart. Yun Chujio angrily spread a few quilts on the ground and then put Baiming on it. "Shut up. Otherwise, I'll sew your mouth shut with a needle and thread." "Black Thing, how dare you?" Baiming hated the fact that there was nothing he could do. Otherwise, he would definitely strangle that Black Thing to death. "I have to say it. Some of those women were fat and some were skinny. They come in all sizes. But one thing's for sure, they are much stronger than your black bean sprout." Baiming could not continue because in a moment of desperation, Yun Chujio had used her mouth to block Baiming's mouth. Both of them were stunned. Yun Chujio felt so stupid. Baiming seemed to have opened the door to a new world. For a moment, the temperature in the room seemed to have risen by a few degrees. After a while, Yun Chujio returned to her bed dejectedly and covered her head with the blanket. "Damn, that was so embarrassing. I actually forced myself to kiss a gigolo." Chapter 267. I am thick-skinned. Baiming, who was on the ground, was also stunned. It was a really strange feeling. For a moment, the room was quiet. Neither of them spoke. Cough. Don't think too much. I just wanted to stop you from talking." Yun Chujio stuck her head out from under the blanket and said in a slightly panicked manner. Baiming snorted coldly. "I was just thirsty. After such a long time, you didn't even feed me a mouthful of water. How clumsy. Didn't you drink a few mouthfuls of bath water just now?" Yun Chujio thought of Baiming's miserable appearance and giggled happily. Baiming's face stiffened and he gritted his teeth. "Go ahead and be cocky now, Black Thing. When I recover, we'll see how I'll deal with you." Yun Chujio made a face. "We have to live in the moment and enjoy it while it lasts. Anyway, you can't do anything to me now. I'm warning you, you better behave yourself or ill." Yun Chujio's eyes lit up when she said this. This idea was not bad. If the gigolo left in the future and she ran out of money, She might be able to make a small fortune by selling her paintings. The more Yun Chujio thought about it, the more she felt that the idea was pretty good. She made up her mind then. Di Baiming thought that Yun Chujio was just saying it and did not take it to heart. The next morning, Yun Chujio stretched her body, got off the bed, and jumped to Di Baiming's side. She said with a smile, "Good morning, Prince Charming." Di Baiming opened his eyes weakly and did not speak. Yun Chujio was stunned. She reached out and touched Di Baiming's forehead. It was boiling hot. Only then did Yun Chujio realize that Di Baiming was lying on the ground pitifully last night. He did not even have a blanket on him. Yun Chujio felt a little guilty. It seemed that she had gone too far to treat the wounded like this. "Prince Charming, I'm so sorry. Come on, just sweat it out." Yun Chujio carried Di Baiming to the bed and then covered Di Baiming with layers of blanket. Di Baiming felt that he would be tortured to death by Yun Chujio sooner or later. "Are you covering me with quilt or trying to bury me alive?" Di Baiming exerted all his strength and shouted, "Black thing. Cuff cuff. Do you want to suffocate me to death?" Yun Chujio realized that she was in such a hurry that she had covered Di Baiming's head as well. She quickly saved Di Baiming's head from the blankets. I'm sorry. I don't have any experience, okay? Once you get sick a few more times in the future, then you'll have more experience." Yun Chujio said with a dry smile. Di Baiming felt his vision go black. He gritted his teeth and said, "Are you cursing me to get sick frequently in the future?" Yun Chujio smiled widely and used her hand to support Di Baiming's chin. "Prince Charming, you'd better not provoke me this time." Di Baiming's face turned red. "Stop. You have no sense of shame." "You're shameless." Yun Chujio smiled lecherously. "I am thick-skinned and I am shameless. What can you do about it?" Yun Chujio bent down and was about to walk over. Thump, thump, thump. Di Baiming's heart started beating faster. Chapter 268. The seeds of love seemed to have sprouted. Di Baiming waited for a long time, but Yun Chujio's lips did not fall. He opened his eyes and saw Yun Chujio hugging her shoulders and looking at him with a wicked smile. "Prince Charming, what's with your squinted eyes? Do you think it's a pity that I didn't kiss you?" Di Baiming was so angry that he was seeing stars. His face flushed red before turning pale. "Black thing? I'm thick-skinned and I don't know shame. I'm shameless, am I not? I'm a female hoodlum and a little pervert. I'm warning you. You better listen to me or else. You'll do anything." Yun Chujio thought to herself that since she had already touched and kissed him, why should she feel wronged? Gigolo from now on, he'll be the master. The pitiful lord had never seen such a thick-skinned girl. It was as though his worldview had been shifted. Besides being angry, he also felt that the black thing was really baring its fangs and brandishing its claws. It was quite interesting. The pitiful emperor felt that he had most likely been struck dumb by lightning. Although Yun Chujio's words were fierce, she still used warm water to gently wipe Di Baiming's face. She also fiercely forced Di Baiming to get a sumptuous breakfast from his storage ring and fed it to him. Di Baiming was already severely injured. With the addition of the cold, he finally fell into a deep sleep after all that. Yun Chujio sat by the bed and looked at Di Baiming's handsome face. She was a little lost in thought. Yun Chujio recalled what happened the day before. When she was at her most helpless and desperate moment, the gigolo appeared as a protector. He would willingly be struck to death to protect her. Yun Chujio admitted that she was moved. Although she had never been in a relationship and did not know what love was, at that moment, Yun Chujio felt that the seed of love seemed to have sprouted. That was why she asked Di Baiming half-truthfully why he would save her. That was why when she heard Di Baiming say that she, who had always been fearless, felt a little disappointed. That was why she deliberately mentioned the red-robed pervert to anger Di Baiming. That was why after their fight, her lips and tongue became entangled with Di Baiming's. Yun Chujio was not a pretentious person. Since that's the case, then she should let nature take its course. After all, she was still young. If the gigolo had the patience to wait for her to grow up, she would give him a chance. This gigolo's figure was quite attractive. After Yun Chujio figured out her thoughts, She secretly kissed Di Biming's face. Tiske, how could this gigolo's skin be so nice? However, why was it still so hot? It was not burnt, was it? Yun Chujio thought for a moment and took out a dagger. She cut her finger and dripped the blood into Di Biming's mouth. After a while, Di Biming's face gradually returned to normal and his forehead was not hot anymore. Yun Chujio could not help but laugh at herself. Her blood really had a miraculous effect on the gigolo. Yun Chujio took out a scarf and wrapped it around her head, leaving two tails of excess cloth behind her head as she hopped out of the house. Miss Jiao, how is our honored lord? And Feng and an Yin saw Yun Chujio coming out and quickly went up to her. Yun Chujio immediately smiled and bent her back when she saw the two of them. The two of them each took a piece of cloth and wrapped it around their heads. Just like Yun Chujio, they also left two small tails behind them. Ha! Do you two have to follow me like this? Oh my god, it's so funny. Yun Chujio was so happy that she almost rolled on the floor laughing. And Feng and an Yin's eyes twitched violently. Miss Jiao, how did we become like this? It was because we saved you. How could you laugh at us so shamelessly? You're too shameless. Chapter 269. As expected of the man that I, Yun Chujio, have taken a fancy to. Yun Chujio finally stopped laughing and said, His Highness was too tired yesterday. He's catching up on his sleep now. I'm going out for a while. You guys take good care of the house. Yun Chujio did not want an Feng and an Yin to know that her carelessness had caused Di Biming to catch a cold. However, she did not know that her words had caused an Feng to misunderstand. After Yun Chujio left, an Feng had a gossipy look on his face. Didn't our esteemed lord lose control of hands and feet yesterday? Why is he so tired? An Yin ignored him, thinking that sooner or later, this annoying fellow would be taught a lesson by their esteemed lord. Yun Chujio, who was jumping toward the meeting hall, sneezed violently. She thought whether it could be that the gigolo had woken up and was talking about her. They had only been apart for a short while, and he was already thinking about her. She was so charming. Yun Chujio shamelessly fantasized for a while before she finally hopped into the meeting hall. In the meeting hall, Master Xinyuan and the others were like the Ama rocks. 1. They were stretching their necks to look outside when they finally saw Yun Chujio hopping over. When everyone saw Yun Chujio's appearance, they were also stunned. Last night, the wind was high and the sky was dark. In addition, Yun Chujio's face was dirty, so they did not pay too much attention to her. Now that they saw her, they were all extremely surprised. As expected, her fair skin covered her 100 other flaws. Although the little girl's skin had only turned fairer, she felt that her entire person had become much more beautiful. Little girl, quickly tell me, how did you escape those heavenly punishments yesterday? Elder Chu went to Yun Chujio and asked curiously, Heavenly punishments? Yun Chujio was not aware of the heavenly root spirit theory. In the principle of saying less and making fewer mistakes, and not moving if the enemy did not move, she tried to speak as little as possible. Oh right, you still don't know about this. Let me tell you then. You have a rare heavenly lightning root spirit. Those purple heavenly lightning bolts were meant to kill you by heavenly tribulation. Elder Chu told her everything. Yun Chujio's heart skipped a beat. That was what it was. No wonder those heavenly purple lightning bolts were always chasing after her. It was the heavenly law that wanted her dead. Regardless of whether it was heavenly law or reality, my life is in my hands, not the heavens. No way you'll take my life. Little girl, tell me quickly. How did you survive the lightning bolts for 10 hours? Elder Chu asked again when he saw Yun Chujio in a daze. Yun Chujio giggled. Of course, I had to run quickly so that they couldn't catch up to me. But I was soon knocked out by the lightning bolts. I don't know what happened after that. When I woke up, I saw my savior spit out a mouthful of blood. Then he instructed me to take care of him. After that, I flew out on the chopping board. Everyone felt that what Yun Chujio said made sense, but they still felt something amiss. Master Xinyuan asked again, and Yun Chujio said the same thing. Master Xinyuan could only ask, Has your savior woken up? Can we meet him? The reason why Master Xinyuan was so polite was that first, that person had saved Yun Chujio, and second, that person's spiritual power was very high, so he naturally had to treat him politely. Yun Chujio sighed. He had a high fever last night, and he only fell asleep this morning. Let's wait for him to wake up. My savior suffered such serious injuries in order to save me, and he also caught a cold. I really feel bad about this. I wonder if any of you have anything nourishing in your possession? I'll take it to nourish him. Yun Chujio spoke with sincerity and even shed a few tears. Master Xinyuan and the others naturally would not reject her. They all took out what they had and gave it to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio laughed sinisterly in her heart as she made a small fortune. Gigolo, oh Gigolo, you're indeed the man that I, Yun Chujio, have set my eyes on. You can make money for me just by lying down. Chapter 270. Made everyone laugh. Yun Chujio rolled her eyes and continued shamelessly, well, Master Xinyuan, there are so many things that I can't possibly carry them in my hands. Please give me another storage ring. The storage bag given by the sect is being used by my fourth brother. Master Xinyuan did not dislike Yun Chujio's insatiable greed. Instead, he asked in surprise, can you release your spiritual power? You're already at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm? Yes, I can release my spiritual power. Yun Chujio answered vaguely. She thought to herself, I'm not deliberately hiding it. I'm afraid that telling you I'm at the 8th level of the spirit enhancement realm will scare you. Elder Xiao frowned. Yun Chujio, are you lying? There's no spiritual power fluctuation on your body. How could you be at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm? Everyone looked at Yun Chujio suspiciously. Even if some mighty figures could lower their cultivation level or use some spirit tools to hide their cultivation level, no one had ever been able to completely hide the spiritual energy on their body. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes. Hearing is fictitious, seeing is believing. Everyone was stunned. What did she mean? Everyone was shocked. Yun Chujio raised her right hand, and a bolt of lightning struck an empty chair. The chair shattered into two. Yun Chujio struck another bolt of lightning, and the table beside her was also split into two. She frowned. After the strike, there was a burning smell. This was not good. If she did anything bad in the future, would everyone not suspect that she was the one who did it? However, she only used 50% of her strength this time. When there was no one around, she would test it again and try to make sure that it did not smell burnt. Yun Chujio had a few thoughts in her mind. Then, she realized that the meeting hall was completely silent. Everyone had a dumbfounded look on their faces. Yun Chujio laughed dryly, well, I've made a fool of myself. I've only learned how to strike. If I don't do it well, it'll definitely improve next time. Elder Chu jumped up with a roar. Little girl. Good strike. Good strike. Oh my God, this heavenly root spirit is indeed different. It really opened my eyes. The rest of the people also seemed to have woken up from a dream and sighed one after another. They looked at Yun Chujio as if they were looking at a peerless treasure. Is this move of mine very powerful? I see that other people's wind blades and fireballs are about equally as powerful. Yun Chujio asked weakly, but in her heart she thought, could it be that I've been exposed? It shouldn't be, I've clearly only used 50% of my strength. Our Spirit Radiance sect is about to produce a peerless genius. Little girl, although the power of your lightning strike is almost the same as those of the same level, this is a lightning strike. Regardless of whether it's a demon beast or a cultivator, how many of them aren't afraid of lightning strikes? Most importantly, all cultivators need to form seals before they can cast spells, and they also need to pause for a moment before they can cast spells a second time. However, as the spiritual power becomes more profound, the duration of forming seals and pausing changes. You just cast your spells 2 times in a row without any pause. Elder Chu was so excited that he was dancing with joy. He had completely forgotten how he called Yun Chujio unimportant during the entry test. Yun Chujio had an epiphany. It turned out that other people were using rifles and guns, but she was using a machine, a trap, and a gun. It seemed to be quite awesome. When other people were loading bullets, she could take advantage of the situation. Wow, just thinking about it was very satisfying, right? But why is there no spiritual fluctuation on my body? Yun Chujio asked in puzzlement. Although it was good to pretend to be a pig to eat a tiger, sometimes it was quite troublesome to hide the truth. Chapter 271. Was the time to be proud? Everyone was also puzzled. Yun Chujia's situation was simply unheard of. Finally, Elder Chu took out a ring from his storage ring and handed it to Yun Chujio. This is a hidden spirit ring. It can hide one's true cultivation level and lower the spiritual power of the wearer. Try injecting your spiritual power and spiritual sense into it to see if it has any effect. Yun Chujio was such a shrewd person. It did not matter if it worked or not. If it was given to me, it would be mine. I'll refine it first. Thus, as if she did not hear Elder Chu's words, she directly refined the hidden spirit ring with a drop of blood. Elder Chu's eyes twitched and his beard almost stood on its ends in anger. I just asked you to try it. I'm not giving it to you just like that. Is it good for you to take other people's property like this? Master Xianyuan cursed silently at the side. Old Chu, you're still young. You'll only learn your lesson after being tricked by this little girl a few times. After Yun Chujio refined the hidden spirit ring, she began adjusting her spiritual power to the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. Hey! It's effective. Yun Chujio's spiritual power is now at the 4th level of the spirit enhancement realm. That's right. It seems like this hidden spirit ring is effective on Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with the function of the hidden spirit ring. It was simply a great tool to play the pig to eat the tiger. In the future, she would use it to trick people. What Yun Chujio did not know was that if an ordinary person wore the hidden spirit ring, only those who had lower spiritual power than the wearer would be deceived. If the other party had higher spiritual power than the wearer, it would have no effect. However, Yun Chujio was a weirdo. Even Master Xianyuan and the others could not see Yun Chujio's true spiritual power level at all. Yun Chujio tried to adjust her spiritual power level to level 3, 2, and even level 1. It worked every time. She sincerely thanked Elder Chu. Elder Chu was still a little unhappy at first, but after Yun Chujio said a few flattering words, he was beaming with joy. He immediately felt that the hidden spirit ring of his existed for Yun Chujio. It was simply a waste for it to stay with him. Master Xianyuan was watching the show from the side. Yun Chujio came up to him and said with a smile, Master Xianyuan, where is the storage ring that you promised me? The corner of Master Xuanyuan's eyes twitched slightly. He painfully took out a storage ring and gave it to Yun Chujio. After Yun Chujio refined the ring, she put all the items of nourishment she received into the storage ring and left with a smile. Wait, Yun Chujio, there'll be a new disciple trial in 3 days. Will you stay to take care of your benefactor, or will you participate in the trial? Master Xianyuan said in a deep voice. Yun Chujio had really forgotten about the trial. Whether she could become little ancestor Yun would depend on this trial. However, the gigolo was seriously injured from saving her. If she abandoned him, it would seem a little unrighteous. Master Xianyuan saw that Yun Chujio was hesitating, so he said, you can think about it again. Once you've thought it through, come find me. Although everyone had high hopes for Yun Chujio's heavenly root spirit, they were still reluctant to let this little girl become little ancestor Yun, who had an extremely high seniority. They hoped that Yun Chujio would take the initiative to give up this opportunity, so they all kept quiet. Yun Chujio naturally understood their thoughts and nodded. Sect leader, you'll go back and think about it. If I make a decision, I'll look for you again. Yun Chujio walked out of the meeting hall and rolled her eyes. It was finally time for me, Yun Chujio, to be proud. Thus, she turned the rolling pin into a chopping board and flew up while standing on it. She was afraid that the others would not notice her, so she took the Scarlet Dawn silk that she had scammed from Du Gai of Heavenly Gate's sect and swiped it around. Chapter 272. The deity is very pleased. The disciples of the Spirit Radiance sect quickly discovered the odd Yun Chujio flying in the sky. Holy shit. What the hell is flying in the sky? Ah, Yun Chujio. It's that little fire girl, Yun Chujio. Why do I feel that she's not quite the same as before? Ah, she's fair. A lot fairer. Oh my god, how did she suddenly go from a useless person who can't cultivate to a 4th level spirit enhancement cultivator? That's not right. Didn't they say that only spirit cultivators can ride swords? How did she manage to do that? Is that a chopping board under her feet? Has the chopping board in the Middle Peaks kitchen become a spirit? Yun Chujio was very satisfied to see the dumbfounded expressions on everyone's faces. She directed the rolling pin to fly around the entire Spirit Radiance sect. She even went to the Spirit Beast Garden on the West Peak on purpose. Hey old livestock friends. Did you guys cultivate diligently? Yun Chujio circled the mighty elephant's nest a few times, then waved her hands. The mighty elephants recognized Yun Chujio. When they saw that it was Yun Chujio who they had not seen them for a few days, who not only had spirit energy but was also able to control objects and fly, they were all greatly encouraged. Even a little girl like her was able to turn things around. It looked like the little girl was right. They had to be prepared beasts. After Yun Chujio and a mighty elephants established a relationship, she went out and showed off for a while before flying back to the dormitory. My dear Prince Charming, are you feeling better? Did you miss me? Yun Chujio jumped to the side of the bed and touched Di Baiming's forehead. Perhaps it was because of her blood, but Di Baiming's fever had subsided and he was in a better state. Where did you go to be so cocky? Di Baiming raised his eyebrows. Prince Charming, how can you say that? What do you mean by cocky? I'm just proud, okay? It's not easy for me to turn over a new leaf. Naturally, I have to announce it to the world. Yun Chujio felt that she was quite talented. The corner of Di Baiming's eyes twitched slightly. You said a lot of things, but in conclusion, you're still cocky. Yun Chujio tugged at the corner of her clothes shyly. My idol, I'm sorry. I shouldn't have let you, a wounded man, sleep on the ground yesterday. I didn't even cover you with a blanket. As the saying goes, if you admit your mistakes, then you're a good person. I promise I won't mistreat you anymore. Di Baiming saw that Yun Chujio looked a little shy, so he could not help but think of last night's intimacy. His face also turned slightly red, and he coughed dryly. It's okay. I'm fine now. Seeing that Di Baiming was so easy to talk to, Yun Chujio immediately wanted to do something to compensate him, so she said, Prince Charming, you've been lying on the bed all this time. Are you bored? I'll take you outside to breathe some fresh air. Yun Chujio did not wait for Di Baiming's approval. She helped Di Baiming put on his coat and carried him out of the house. And Feng, hurry up and get a reclining chair over. His Highness wants to bask in the sun. And Feng saw his esteemed self being carried out effortlessly by Yun Chujio. The corners of his eyes twitched slightly. This 9th miss was really fierce. It seemed that his esteemed self would be at her mercy in the future. Yun Chujio placed Di Baiming on the reclining chair and said in a virtuous manner, Prince Charming, if you don't exercise, your muscles will atrophy. Let me massage you. Di Baiming felt warm in his heart. Although the black thing was a little out of tune, she was still sincere to him. Yes, he was very pleased. Yun Chujio rubbed her hands and laughed dryly. Prince Charming, let's settle the scores. My fee is still the same as before. I'll charge you 2,000 spirit stones for 15 minutes. If you get the 15 minutes, I'll give you a 20% discount. Di Baiming was speechless. Chapter 273. Come out, Shui Wuji. The magnificent thought bubbles that filled Di Baiming's head was immediately punctured by Yun Chujio's words. And Feng and An, who were beside him, silently retreated. Miss Jiu, oh Miss Jiu. You're breaking ground above Tai Sui head and plucking the fur on a tiger's buttocks. 1. Our Lord would lay down his life for you. You're gonna charge him for a little massage? And you're giving a 20% discount? Are you trying to court death? Our esteemed Lord will definitely go crazy. Di Baiming's face turned green and white, and then vice versa. In the end, he smiled and said, Deal? And Feng and An were shocked. Has our esteemed lord been struck dumb by lightning? Not only did he agree, he actually smiled. What's wrong with him? Yun Chujio was also stunned. She thought that the gigolo would definitely scold her for being shameless or something, but she did not expect him to agree so readily. Yun Chujio immediately smiled like a successful little fox and started massaging Di Baiming. Di Baiming closed his eyes and basked in the sun while enjoying Yun Chujio's attentive service. In his heart, he was thinking about how to move back to the city. He could not move his hands and feet now. Even if he retaliated, he would be easily restrained by the Black Thing. I will endure. Black Thing, just you wait. It's not too late for this venerable self to get revenge. Yun Chujio did not know what Di Baiming was thinking. She was like a hard-working bee, happily massaging Di Baiming. After massaging him for a while, Yun Chujio touched her stomach and said sneakily, "Prince Charming, what shall we have for lunch?" Di Baiming's eyes flashed. "I've brought a lot of new dishes this time, but what?" Yun Chujio felt that she could not control her saliva and asked impatiently. Di Baiming curled the corner of his mouth. "However, the price is naturally higher. I'm afraid that you can't afford it." Yun Chujio was stunned and cursed in her heart. What a stingy gigolo. I asked you for money because I'm poor. You're already so rich, but still scheme to gain what little money I have. How detestable. Yun Chujio pouted and said, "Itchy. Brother Wuji wouldn't ask me for money. Why are you so stingy? Besides, I've helped you wipe your face, fed you, and carried you out. I haven't asked you for money yet." Di Baiming's face darkened. "Black Thing, I'm warning you, stay away from that red-robed fool in the future. Otherwise, I won't forgive you." Yun Chujio pouted. "But Brother Black Chicken gave me delicious food, a ring, and even spirit stones." Di Baiming's eyes flickered, and then he said, "Black Thing, I was just teasing you. It's just some food, isn't it? I have plenty." Di Baiming took out several plates of dishes from his storage ring, which were in sorts of colors, fragrance, and taste. There were even a few plates of exquisite pastries, which emitted a charming sweet fragrance. Yun Chujio's eyes lit up and her eyes instantly turned into the shape of a peach heart. She said obsequiously, "Prince Charming, I was just joking just now. That pervert in red is obviously not a good guy. Even if he gave me a mountain of gold and silver, I wouldn't even bother to look at him. Prince Charming, he can't even be compared to a strand of your hair. How could his black chicken head be compared to the wise and divine Prince Charming? You're the bright moon in the sky, and he's a weak little candle. You're the white snow at the top of the mountain, and he's the dung on the ground." The corners of Di Baiming's mouth curled up, and then he said indifferently, "Shui Wuji, you've heard enough. Don't hide anymore. Come out." Chapter 274. Little Sister Jio was really humorous. Shui Wuji. Yun Chujio was shocked. She unconsciously got in front of Di Baiming and blocked him. The gigolo's body was stiff all over. Would it not be easy for the red-clothed pervert to kill the gigolo? Di Baiming's eyes warmed as he said indifferently, "Black Thing, get out of the way. Shui Wuji is a well-known figure in the Tianyuan continent. He's not going to take advantage of the situation." Di Baiming, you finally said something human. Of course, I won't kick you when you're down. Besides, I wouldn't do that in front of little Sister Jio. Shui Wuji appeared and said. He had an evil smile on his face, but his hands were tightly clenched under his sleeves. "Very well, Yun Chujio. You actually dared to trick me." Di Baiming's unexpressive face was the bright moon in the sky and the weak little candle? Di Baiming was the white snow at the peak of the mountain and the dirt on the ground? So everything about him being the enemy and Di Baiming coveting her beauty were all made up. They were all used to deceive me. Very good, Yun Chujio, just you wait. In order to not lose face in front of Di Baiming, Shui Wuji simply swallowed his words. He clearly wanted to strangle Yun Chujio to death, but he talked and laughed as if nothing had happened. Shadow Agent Huahua also appeared. He cursed in his heart, "Our young master has been played by this little girl. I've told you, how can the person that Di Baiming has his eyes on be so simple?" Our young master's narcissism should be changed. Although Xue Wuji said it to Di Baiming, his eyes were fixed on Yun Chujio. If eyes could kill, Yun Chujio would have died hundreds of times. If an ordinary person was caught red-handed, they would definitely feel awkward or guilty. However, Yun Chujio was obviously not an ordinary person. This fellow smiled brightly. "Brother Wuji, you're here? Did you bring me spirit stones again?" Everyone was dumbfounded. Yun Chujio's shamelessness was unrivaled. Xue Wuji gritted his teeth. "Little Sister Jio, didn't you say that you wouldn't even be interested if I gave you mountains of gold and silver?" Yun Chujio said confidently, "That's right. How could I like such common things like gold and silver? I like shiny spirit stones." Everyone was speechless. Xue Wuji was stunned for a moment before he laughed out loud. "Little Sister Jio is really witty. No wonder even Di Baiming, who is famous for being queer, fell for you." Di Baiming snorted coldly, "Don't spout nonsense. I'm just self-disciplined, unlike some people who go fooling around. I heard that you already have dozens of illegitimate children." Xue Wuji was so angry that he gritted his teeth. "Di Baiming, you're spouting nonsense. You actually slandered me in front of little Sister Jio. What are your intentions, you gay man?" "I'm just speaking the truth. Who doesn't know that you're reckless? If there's a woman that you like, then go back to the palace with her." Although Di Baiming's limbs were stiff, his aura actually faintly suppressed Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji was so angry that he laughed. His eyes turned as red as blood. "Di Baiming, although I don't like to take advantage of others' misfortune, it's fun to do it once in a while. I'll kill you today." And Feng and Ayin quickly protected Di Baiming and Yun Chujio. They were on alert. Di Baiming laughed out loud without any signs of nervousness. "Xue Wuji, although I'm badly injured, I'm strong enough to topple you before I die. You can try." Chapter 275. I do not understand. Xue Wuji looked at Di Baiming suspiciously. Could there be a trap? The day before, Spirit Radiance sect was bombarded with thunder. What exactly happened? Why did Di Baiming get such a serious injury? Should he make a move or not? It's already noon. Are you guys hungry? Let's have lunch together. I'm starving. Yun Chujio did not seem to notice the imminent crisis. She sat down casually on the stone bench and looked at the delicious food on the table with drooling eyes. Xue Wuji had a few thoughts in his mind and then smiled wickedly. "I'm just joking. Little Sister Jio is right. The world is big, and eating is the most important. Eating is more important." Yun Chujio giggled. "Brother Wuji, come here. Don't be shy, eat more." Di Baiming coughed dryly and glared at Yun Chujio unhappily. Yun Chujio cursed in her heart. "Gigolo, I'm just doing this all for you. No matter how powerful you are, you can't move your hands and feet now. If you fight, you'll definitely be at a disadvantage." "Black thing, I'm hungry." Di Baiming looked at Yun Chujio and Xue Wuji chatting happily, and he could not help but get angry. Yun Chujio quickly picked up a piece of meat and fed Di Baiming. Then, she continued to chat with Xue Wuji. "Black thing, a piece of meat isn't enough to fill the mouth. Continue," Di Baiming said with a dark face. Yun Chujio could only continue to feed Di Baiming. Naturally, she had no time to talk to Xue Wuji. Xue Wuji's mind was not on the food. He sneered, "Di Baiming, little Sister Jio is as beautiful as a flower now, but you're addressing her as black thing. How rude." That's right. How am I very dark now? You should call me little beauty, little fairy, little baby, little sweetheart," Yun Chujio echoed from the side. "Cough. Black thing, shut up." Di Baiming almost spat out the food that he had just eaten. Yun Chujio curled her lips. What a boring old man. Xue Wuji was so happy that there was a rift between the two of them, he started to fan the flames. "Di Baiming, do you think little Sister Jio is your subordinate? You even ordered her to shut up. This is too much. Little Sister Jio, you don't have to be afraid of him. In the future, you have a big brother to support you. If he bullies you, I will help you." Di Baiming's eyes were about to spit fire as he glared fiercely at Xue Wuji. Shui Wuji was fearless as he continued, "Little sister Jiao, you are still young and don't understand some things. If you want to marry someone, you have to marry someone who treats you well. This guy always orders you around and enslaves you. How can he be your lover? If there's no comparison, you can't discriminate between good and bad. You can't sabotage yourself. You have to choose a few more people to compare with. For example, I, your brother, not only look better than this expressionless man, but I'm also generous to you. What do you think? Think about it." After Shui Wuji finished speaking, he looked at Yun Chujio with anticipation. Di Baiming's eyes were also fixed on Yun Chujio. He had the intention of strangling Yun Chujio if she dared to agree. Yun Chujio blinked her eyes and said, "Brother Wuji, I'm still young. What nonsense are you talking about? I don't understand." Shui Wuji almost spat out a mouthful of blood. He had been talking for such a long time. Was he playing the lute to a cow? He was so angry. If it were any other woman, she would have thrown herself into his arms long ago. What an unromantic girl. Di Baiming was very satisfied. Although the black thing was a little greedy and lecherous, it still had a clear stance on the important things. Not bad. However, Brother Wuji, what you said makes sense. Anyway, I'm still young. I can take my time picking out a husband. It's hard to find a three-legged toad, but there are plenty of two-legged people. Yun Chujio said casually, "You're tuning in to the Passion Pages YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure."